First Gimel.
Zion.
How was on?
Okay,
Base
so
Zion.
yeah, that's right. We're going to finish it off and then we'll go into Taanis.
Okay, okay. That's what happened. Okay. Oh, the head of the president said it is sanctified, and all
No,
the people
no,
respond.
no, 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 no. We're in Dalit Zion.
Dollars as his base. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, put the mark in the wrong place. He who leads the services on the Yom Tov of Rosh Hashanah, the second chazan causes the shofar to be blown. But when Hallel said, the first chazan recites the Hallel. For the shofar of Rosh Hashanah, they may not go beyond the Sabbath boundary, nor may they remove a heap of stones or debris from it, nor may they climb a tree, nor may they ride an animal, nor may they swim on the water, nor may they sever it, whether with an implement that is prohibited under rabbinic law or with an implement that is prohibited by the Torah through a negative commandment. If one wishes to put water or wine into it, he may do so. One should not prevent the children from blowing the shofar, rather, one may occupy himself with them until they learn to blow. One who practices is not discharge his obligation, and one who hears the shofar being blown from one who practices is not discharge his obligations. The order of the shofar blasts are three sets of three blasts each. The duration of the tekiah is like three trus. The duration of the trua is like three quavers. If one blew the first tekiah and belonged the second tekiah for the duration of two kios, it sounds as only one. It counts as only one. If one recited the blessings and later a shofar became available to him, he should blow tekiah, trua, tekiah three times. Just as the cousin is obligated, so is every individual obligated. And Rav Gamil says the cousin discharges the congregation's obligation. Hadran Lak.
Hadron
Okay.
Lach, Maseches Rosh Hashanah. Okay, Taanis.
And tomorrow we're going to start again from the beginning. Rosh
Yeah.
Hashanah. Okay, we're starting
No, no,
Aleph
no,
Vav.
not Rosh Hashanah from the beginning. Taanis from the beginning.
Okay,
Yeah.
finish.
Okay. Ma'emasai Mazkirin Gevuras Geshamim. So the first part of Taanis is all dealing about rain.
Mhm.
And first of all, asking for the rain, and then what happens if the rain doesn't come. So, when do we start mentioning the Gevuras Geshamim? Now, interesting that that rain is considered an act of Gevura, and there's a whole discussion on that in the Gemara about why is it part of the of Gevura. But at any rate, um, we mention Gevuras Geshamim, which means the part where we say Mashiva Roch and Marida Geshem. Okay. Rabbi Eliezer Omer miyom tov harishon shel chag. So first day Sukkot, you start saying Mashiv Ruach Geshem. Rabbi Yeshua Omer miyom tov ha'achron shel chag from Shmini Atzeres, which, as we know, is the halacha that we say the Tfilas Geshem on Shmini Atzeres. Amar lo Rabbi Yeshua, says Rabbi Yeshua to Rabbi Eliezer, Hoil ve'ena geshamim ela siman klala b'chag. We don't want rain during Sukkot because then we're going to have to leave the sukkah and
Right.
it's not a good sign. So why since we don't want rain during Sukkot, lama maskir? Why would you suddenly start mentioning Guras Geshamim at this time? Amalo Rabbi Eliezer, ani lo af ani lo amarti lishol. He says, no, 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 I'm not asking for rain. It's just that now that we're approaching the time for rain, uh, it's good to praise Hashem for His aspect that He grants the rain. That's all. It's just a mention of praise, but it's not a bakasha yet. But onaso, it should come in its good time. Amar lo, so says Rabbi Yeshua, Im kain, leo lam yehei mazkir. So fine, then mention Mashiach Ruach Amarid Hageshem the whole year round. Why why stop there? Okay, and they can they can carry on their discussion, and Rabbi Eliezer does have a coherent argument, obviously, but Rabbi Yeshua says only start asking for the rain, only start praising Hashem for the rain at the time when you actually want the rain. Okay, this is the halacha. Ein shoalin es geshamim ela samuch legeshamim. We only start asking for rain. This is now shoalin. This is now in Tein Talomatar.
Okay.
We only start asking for the rain close to the rainy season. Okay. Rabbi Yehuda Omer ha'over lifnei hateva b'yom tov ha'acharon shel hachag. Now reverting back to Mashiv HaRuach HaMorid HaGeshem in Gevuras Geshamim. He says Rabbi Yehuda on Shmini Atzeres, the Baal Tefillah for Musaf Ha'achron Mazkir, right? The second Baal Tefillah, the one for Musaf, he's the one who starts saying Mashiv Aruch Merid Geshem. Why is that? Because you need to make an announcement. Yeah, and before Shachris, after you say Gal Yisrael, you have to go straight into the Amidah. There's no break allowed. So it's appropriate to make the announcement before Musaf when you can talk. Harishon Eino Mazkir. But the first one doesn't mention Mashiv Aruch Merid Geshem. Conversely, B'Yom Tov Harishon Shel Pesach. Harishon Maskir va'achron eno maskir. So on the first day Pesach, when we stop saying it, the first one still says it because again you can't make an announcement, and the
Mhm.
second one does not mention it. Um, and yeah, by the way, there's a difference in minhag as to whether you actually make it, how you make the announcement. It depends whether you're in a kahila that says Morid Hatal. So Ashkenazim in Chutz La'aretz don't say Morid Hatal. And the fact that we Ashkenazim in in Israel do say Morid Hatal, it was a compromise that was reached when the first Ashkenazi Olim came to Israel, and they wanted to be in Kehillas with all of the old communities of the Sfardim who'd been here forever. And they said,
Mhm.
well, one of the things you need to do is say Morid Hatal, because otherwise people are going to yell at you. So so that just
Right.
became part of the Nusach of Eretz Yisrael, is Morid Hatal. So now Morid Hatal is a positive statement, and you can make an announcement and say, okay, from now on we're saying Morid Hatal. But what we don't do is say we stop saying Mashiv Ruach Morid Geshem. No, you don't. You're not allowed to say we have stopped saying that, because as we'll see later in the Masechta, if you don't ever ask for rain to stop. Okay.
Actually, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
What you can say, Morid Hatal, which is subtly implying, okay, now's the time for dew. It's a positive thing that you're requesting, and implicitly you're stopping the request for rain. Okay. So the way we get around that is in Chutz La'aretz is that they have the tefillas tal, in which the Baal Tefillah will start making his whole thing about dew, and in that tefillas tal, even in Chutz La'aretz, they'll say Morid Hatal. And then everyone
Mhm.
knows, okay, now it's time to stop saying Mashiv Baruch Merid Geshem. Anyway, back to our Mishnah. Ad emasai shoalin is shamim. So until when do we ask for the rain? Rabbi Yehuda Omer ad sheyavor Pesach. He says we carry on asking for rain until after Pesach is finished, because it's still considered a good thing for the ground. Rabbi Meir Omer ad sheyetze Nisan. He says no, the whole of Nisan we should be asking for it. Shneimar vayored lachem geshem morim umalkosh barishon. So there's a pasuk in Yoel that refers to the rain that carries on throughout the month of Nisan. And so that's good. Okay, so then if it's good, then we should be carrying on asking for rain throughout the month of Nisan. And as we know, the halacha is not like either of them. We stop at the same time as we stop asking for rain, which is on the first day of Pesach. Gimel. B'shlosha b'mercheshvan sholin es hagshamim. So when's the date when we start asking for rain in Mashiva in the Tain Talomatar? Says the Tanakama on the third day of Cheshvan. Rabban Gamliel Omer b'Shiva bo. It says no, on the seventh day. Seventh of Cheshvan and that is of course a halacha. Chamisha Sar Yom Achrei Chag. That's 15 days after Sukkot is finished. Kadesh Yagia Achron Shebi Yisrael Nahar Pras, so that all of the pilgrims who who came to Israel for the Chag have got time to get back up to the Euphrates and start finding their way back to Bavel. Uh, Okay, and that is the halacha.
Right. Okay. Sukkah.
Rosh Hashanah.
Going back to Rosh Hashanah.
Yeah, back to Rosh Hashanah, base Gimel.
Maybe you're going to confuse me. Basically.
Hmm?
Okay. This is where I had it before. Okay. How did they light the torches? They would bring long poles of cedar wood, reeds, balsa wood, and fiber chips of flax. Someone would tie them together with a rope, climb to the mountaintops, set fire to them, and wave the torch back and forth, up and down until he saw his colleague doing likewise on top of the second mountain, and so too on top of the third mountain. From where did they light the torches? From the Mount of Olives in Sartiva, from Sartiva to Rafina, from Rafina to Kavran, from Kavran to Beit Biltin. In Beit Biltin, they did not move, but the signal would wave the torch back and forth, up and down, until they saw the entire diaspora before him like a mass of fire. There was a large courtyard in Yerushalayim, which was called Beis Yatzatz, and there the witnesses gathered, and the Beis Din interrogated them and made them large feasts in order that they should become accustomed to come. Originally, did not move from there all day. Then Rabbi Gamel, the elder, acted that should be permitted to walk 2,000 cubits in every direction. And not only these witnesses, but also a midwife who comes to aid a delivery, and one who comes to rescue people from a fire, from attacking armor, from a flying river, or from a fallen building, and they're considered like the people of the city, and they have right to walk 2,000 cubits in every direction. Okay.
And now, Sukkah.
Okay. Base above. Eliezer says a man is obligated to eat 14 meals in the sukkah, one each day, one each night, but the comments say this matter has no fixed obligation, except for the night of the first Yom Tov of the festival only. Eliezer further stated, whoever did not eat in the sukkah on the night of the first Yom Tov must compensate for it on the night of the last Yom Tov. When the sages say this matter has no compensation, about this matter is said, a twisted thing cannot be made straight, and what is not there cannot be numbered. A person who has his head and most of his body inside the sukkah and his table inside the house, that Shammai invalidates the sukkah and Beis Hillel validates it. Said Beis Hillel to Beit Shammai, did it not happen that the elders of Beit Shammai and the elders of Beis Hillel went to visit Rabbi Yochanan on the current night and found him sitting with his head and most of his body inside the sukkah and his table within the house, and they said nothing to him? Beit Shammai replied to them, is that your proof? Actually, they said to him, is this how you have always conducted yourself? Then you have never in your life fulfilled the mitzvah of sukkah. Women, slaves, and minors are exempt from the sukkah. A minor who does not need his mothers is obligated to dwell in the sukkah. It once happened that the daughter-in-law of Rabbi Shammai the elder gave birth, and he removed the plaster roof and placed skak over the bed for the child.
Okay.
Erevin.
Erevin.
Erevin and Tess. Let's say. Rabbi Akiva said to them, do not agree with me regarding one who places Erev in a cave, and that he has no more than 2,000 cubits. They answered him, when is this so? Only when there are no inhabitants in it, but if it had inhabitants in it, it may traverse it entirely and beyond it for 2,000 cubits. Thus it follows that its interior is more lenient than its roof. They concerning the surveyor about whom they said would give him 2,000 cubits, even as measurement ended in the middle of the cave, it is so. One who lives together with a Gentile in a single courtyard, and one who does not accept the laws of Erev, the person places a restriction upon him. These are the words of Rameah. If Eliah says, Ben Yaakov says, he never restricts unless there are two Jews restricting each other. Rabbi Gamil said, it once happened that a Sadducee lived with us in an alley in Yerushalayim, and the father told us, hurry and carry out all your utensils into the alley before he carries out restricts you. Yehuda regulated this in different terms. Hurry and attend to your needs in the alley before it passes, and he restricts you. Hey.
Okay.
Hey.
Well, no, we are now on to Demai.
Sorry. Olive base. The Maya is not a subject to take the fifth and to removal, and it may be eaten by an onin. It may be taken into Yerushalayim and taken out again, but a small quantity may be left on the road, and one may give it to an Amaretz, but will consume its equivalent, and there may be changed for silver, copper for copper, silver for copper, and copper for fruit. The father of the fruit will be redeemed from money sources with mayor, but the sages say the fruit must be taken up to Yerushalayim and eaten there. If one buys foods for cedar, for cattle, for flour, for hides, oil for lamp, oil for greasing utensils, it's exempt from the Mai. From Kezib to beyond, one is exempt from the Mai, and the challah of an Amaretz and mixed produce, and what is being bought with Matzah Sheni money, and the remains of the meal offerings are exempt from the Mai. Perfume, oil, the Rabbi Shammai declares it liable. Beis Hillel says it's exempt. The Mai may be used for an Erev and maybe for partnership, and the blessing is recited thereon. And one invites on it, and one may separate it in the noon or at dusk. If one is separated Matzah Sheni before resting Rishon, it does not matter. Oil which the weaver rubs on his fingers is liable to the Mai, but that which the wool comber puts on the wool is exempt from the Mai. Yeah.
Mm.
Hey Zion. An oven that contracted tumor house at Renda Tahor, one divides it into three sections and scrapes off the clay, clothing down to the ground. The mayor says it is not necessary to scrape off the clay, clothing, nor is it necessary to divide it down to the ground. Rather, one reduces it from within to less than 4 handbreadths. The Shimon says it must be moved. And if one divided into two sections, one large, one small, the larger is tummy and the smaller is tahor. If one divided into three sections, such that one section was as large as the other two, the larger one is tummy, two smaller ones are tahor. If one cut the oven into segments along its width, each segment that is less than 4 handbreadths is tahor. If one plastered it with clay, one becomes susceptible to tumor when he heats it enough to bake sponge cakes on it. If one distanced the clay clothing from it and placed sand or pebbles between them, and such an oven, of such an oven, they said, Anita and a woman who is tahor may bake in it, and it is tahor.
One more.
Right? An oven that came in pieces from the artisan's workshop, and he made hoops to it. When he puts them on the oven, it is still tahor. And then it is tummy. If you remove the hoops, it is tahor. If you remove the hoops of the oven, it is tahor. If you plastered it with clay, it becomes susceptible to tumor, and he need no heat since it was already heated. Okay.
Okay.
You paying attention, buddy? Yeah. Okay. I didn't mean Jew. I didn't mean the cat. Yes. One who sells a field that sold the stones which are needed for it, the reeds of the vineyard that are needed for it, the produce which is attached to the ground, the clump of wheat which covers less than the area of a quarter hav, the watchman's hut which is not plastered, and the ungrafted carob tree and a virgin sycamore. However, he has not sold the stones which are not needed for it, nor the reeds in the vineyard that are not needed for it, nor the produce which is attached to the ground. When he said to him, it and all that is in it, they are sold. In any case, he has not sold the clump of reeds which covers the area of a quarter calf, nor the watchman's hut which is plastered, nor the grafted carob tree, nor the cropped sycamore, nor the pit, nor the winepress, nor the dovecote, whether they are in disuse or in use. He must buy back a right of way. These are the words of Rabbi Akiva. But the comment, however, say he need not. Rabbi Akiva admits that when he said to him, except for these, he need not buy back a right of way. The sages, however, say he must buy a right of way. In regard to his stated, in regard to a sale, but one who is given a gift gives it all. When brothers divide an inheritance, those who acquire a field acquire all of them. One who takes possession of the estate is a convert. If one takes possession of a field, he takes possession of all of them. One who consecrates a field consecrates all of them. And Reb Shimon says one who consecrates a field is consecrated only the grafted carob tree and the cropped sycamore. And if he's right,
Yeah, carry on.
One who sells a ship that has sold a mast, the sail, the anchor, and all the oats, but he has not sold the slaves, the cargo sacks of the cargo, and all that is in it, they are sold. If he sold the wagon, but did not sell the mules, if he sold the mules, but did not sell the wagons, if he sold the yoke, but did not sell the oxen, if he sold the oxen, but did not sell the yoke, if Yehuda says the price informs us how so, it said to him, sell me a yoke with 200 zuz. It is well known that a yoke does not cost 200 zuz. Sages, however, say the price is not proof.
Okay, and we're done.
Okay. Have a
Okay.
terrific day. Enjoy. And I'll see you
Have a
tomorrow.
lovely day.
Thank you.
Cheers.